Dolphin Stadium, ready for the finish of a three-game series. The Cardinals, the Marlins, a glorious day for baseball here in South Florida. Juan Encarnacion, a familiar face to Marlin fans. He's been in the lineup. Yadier Molina's in that Cardinal lineup behind the plates. Marlins are hoping that Hanley Ramirez has a night like he had last night. And the hammer, Josh Willingham, with another home run last night. The Marlins, though, falling a run shy. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hunt. It's a familiar script. The Marlins falling just a run shy. But one of the things about the script last night that people have to take note about is that Josh Willingham continues to produce big numbers. He homered again last night.
So far, Josh Willingham is an Oscar-winning performance if you want to talk about scripts. But here's a guy who was a 17th-round draft pick of the Marlins, came up through the organization. It's his 7th year in the organization. Look at his numbers this year. He has been consistent and steady. He was so in the minor leagues as well. 530 games as a minor leaguer, 91 home runs. He knows how to swing the bat. He's adjusting to playing left field, and he's been a key in the middle of that lineup.
Yeah, injuries and a veteran ball club really didn't give him a shot last year or the year before. He's taking advantage of it this year. Who's pitching today? Well, the Marlins going with the rookie, a veteran on the hill for the Cardinals. Sir Sidney Ponson has yet to taste defeat this year. He's 3-0, a pleasant surprise for the Cardinals, a 3.10 earned run average. Scott Olson has pitched well this year. His last time out got a little wild. This time out, he'll get to face Albert Pujols and the rest of those St. Louis Cardinals. Coming up from Dolphin Stadium, the Marlins, the Cardinals. We will finish this three-game series after this. View in South Florida and in high definition. Dolphin Stadium in the sunshine. The Marlins and the St. Louis Baseball Cardinals. And if you're looking for HD on either Comcast or Advanced Cable, here are the numbers that you will find high definition. Marlins and Cardinals getting ready to go. The Marlins have dropped 9 straight at home. The Cardinals come in at 7 over. Tony La Russa presented this lineup, brought to you by Toyota. David Eckstein, Hector Luna, Albert Pujols, Juan Encarnacion, a 2-run triple last night. Spees is in there, Scott Spezio, So Taguchi, Yadier Molina, Aaron Miles at second, and Sidney Ponson.
I tell you what, Rich, when you look at the numbers of Scott Olson, one of the things certainly that stands out, the number of walks, 15 walks in his 20 innings. The other number that stands out, opponent average, hitting just .221 against Scott, and this is why he needs to throw strikes. He's had good stuff, and when he throws strikes, he's been tough to hit with that fastball and slider. As Scott Olson gets ready to win his second game of the year, we'll check in on the defense. And handling him will be Matt Trainer. He's done well in throwing runners out, 6 out of 12. Yeah, I can even figure that out, 50%. The defense brought to you by Rico, Willingham, Abercrombie, Borchard in the outfield, Cabrera, Ramirez, Ugla, Mike Jacobs at first, and another good look at Matt Trainer.
Joe Girardi, when he went to home plate, asked the umpires if the Marlins and the Cardinals can avoid playing the 5th inning in this game. 7 runs on Friday, 5 runs last night for the Cardinals in that 5th inning. And here's Eckstein. There's a strike. Eckstein has been his typical self in this series, slapping base hits, getting on base, playing great defense. Into right center, Borchard and Abercrombie, and it's Abercrombie who makes the catch. Our telecast today is on AFN, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the armed forces serving in the 175 countries and aboard ships at sea. They're watching around the world, Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, and Japan. Welcome and thank you for all the work that you do. You get a chance to see the St. Louis Cardinals and the Florida Marlins. A couple of the best hitters in baseball, in Albert Pujols and Miguel Cabrera. This is Hector Luna, Cardinals second baseman.
Hey, so far so good in Scott Olson. Remember, he had to come out of that game against the Phillies, a no decision. 3 good innings. Came into the 4th inning and walked 4 straight. But he's come out today and thrown strikes.
That was a fastball that was up, but not that close to Luna, even though he dove out of the way. Well, Rick Kranitz put it pretty simply when talking about Olson. He said, strike one is important to Scott Olson today. And a broken bat from Luna. This is Cabrera in time. 2 down.
Tell you, he's made some good pitches already just facing the two hitters. That a good pitch to jam and saw off Hector Luna.
Well, Olson, I mean, all of his starts have been good starts in a sense that he's gotten underway. That, you know, the last start was the one where the wheels kind of came off when he walked 4 consecutive hitters. That was on Tuesday night against the Phillies. That was in the 4th inning. 3 of those runs scored, and Olson was out of the game. And he throws a fastball by Albert Pujols, which is no easy feat. It's 0-1.
Facing the Cardinals for the first time, so Cardinal hitters getting their first look at Scott Olson.
There's a lot of mystery on both sides for this game because no Marlin has ever faced Sidney Ponson. And Olson gets his first look at the Cardinals. Pujols in the series homered a couple nights ago, has 3 hits. Here's a guy who has 32 hits this year and 16 have been home runs. And he is the fastest in Major League history to get to 200 homers and 1,000 hits in his career. He did it in 806 games. There's the breaking ball.
That was a good changeup. That's Scott Olson's 3rd pitch, and I'll tell you what, if he starts getting that over for strikes, it'll really complement the fastball and slider. Good pitch.
That went down low. He's got Matt Trainer behind the plate working with him. Joe Girardi likes that matchup, Trainer and Olson. Outside corner. Scott Olson strikes out Albert Pujols. And a good way to start the day here at Dolphin Stadium. Cardinals go in order. And the young lefty on the corner. Welcome back to Dolphin Stadium. Marlins coming to bat here in the bottom of the 1st inning against the St. Louis Cardinals. Hanley Ramirez, Dan Uggla, and Miguel Cabrera against the enigmatic Sidney Ponson. The free agent signing in the offseason. And the big right-hander goes to work. Hanley goes after the first pitch. Spezio is at 3rd today. 1 pitch, 1 out. Joe Girardi's lineup, presented by Toyota, looks this way. Hanley in the leadoff spot. Uggla, Cabrera. The hammer went deep again. Borchard has hit in all 3 of his games. Jacobs, Abercrombie, Trainer, and Olson.
Yeah, it's amazing. Ponson, just 29 years of age. He's in his 9th year, and all of that with the Baltimore Orioles. Kind of a taking of a chance in signing Ponson as a free agent, but so far a model citizen, and you can see his record, 3-0.
He's a free agent because the Orioles terminated the last year of his contract. It was a 3-year deal, and he was due $7 million this year. But his off-field problems were just too much for the Orioles to handle. He had his 3rd DWI in Baltimore in August. He had some problems down in Fort Lauderdale as well around spring training. Back at his home country of Aruba, he had a boating incident which landed him in jail for 11 days. And he fought his weight throughout his tenure with the Orioles. It's something the Cardinals have kept a close eye on. But as you mentioned, he's been a model citizen. A very pleasant surprise for Dave Duncan and Tony La Russa. And he's 3-0, though Uggla singles up the middle.
Dan Uggla continues to rip and stay behind the ball so well. Let's check out the defense for St. Louis. The defense brought to you by Rico. Just 1 error for David Eckstein at short. The rest of the defense, Hector Luna finds himself in left field. Taguchi and Encarnacion. Scott Rowland getting the day off. Spezio's at 3rd. Aaron Miles at second, Pujols at first, and Yadier Molina behind the plate.
Now Cabrera, who went a little wild with the eye black today. And he takes down low. Give us a look, Miggy.
He has the Miggy has the Alice Cooper looking eye black today.
Nice. Nice. Either that or a Gene Simmons look. There's a strike from Ponson to Cabrera. For home field advantage, it's Cabrera, Tennis Realty. Last 3 home games, double. 2 for 4 with runners in scoring position. Tennis Realty, the #1 Century 21 real estate dealer in South Florida. Bob Tennyson, the folks, Century 21. Ugla at first. And a quick throw. And Ugla is back. We told you Yadier Molina is one of the best at throwing base stealers out. He also picked 9 runners off last year.
Yeah, you have to be alive when you're a runner at first base. The quickness of his feet sets up that throw. I think the Marlins need to start taking advantage of that home field advantage. Just 2-11 in their home ballpark.
9 in a row they have dropped. On zone with a count 2-1. And Cabrera to center field. So Taguchi is out there. Edmonds getting the day off, and Taguchi fires it in.
If you're a hitter today and you're looking at Ponson, and the Marlins will be looking at him for the first time, their current lineup anyway, he'll throw a fastball not quite the way he used to. He used to throw mid-90s. He's more upper 80s, low 90s now. He has a slider. He will use a very good changeup. Once in a while will incorporate a curveball.
And here is Willingham. The home run total now at 7. 25 runs driven in. Both of those lead all of rookies in baseball. Takes a sinker down low.
And went deep last night against former Marlin Braden Looper. Just a rocket shot into the blue seats.
Willingham's closest competition in home runs and RBIs is Prince Fielder of Milwaukee. Good breaking ball by Ponson. Fielder has 5 homers and 18 runs driven in, and he leads all rookies in hits with 40. Hanley Ramirez is second in that category at 35. Another breaking ball.
That's a slider.
Ponson speaks 4 languages. Growing up in Aruba.
Yeah, we were conversing the other day in Papiamento.
That is one of the languages. English, Spanish, of course, and Dutch. And Sidney Ponson strikes out Josh Willingham. Both pitchers look on so far. We've played 1. We're scoreless. Marlins Cardinals as we go to the second inning. Scott Olson faces Juan Encarnacion, Scott Spezio, and So Taguchi. Olson worked a quick first inning with a strikeout of Pujols to end it. And he starts with strike 1, which is at the top of Rick Kranitz's list.
Yeah, there's that first pitch strike. Just 1 hit for Encarnacion in this series, but it was a big triple last night that drove in 2.
Scotty misses down low with that fastball. Dontrell Willis. Hope you had a chance to hear Joe Girardi's conversation with Craig Minervini about the long conversation last night with Dontrell Willis. Girardi saying to Craig and saying in the papers that he thinks that Dontrell was trying too hard and that maybe he ought to try to change speeds, location a little more often. That ball hit to left field into the corner. Long run for Willingham. and it's into the seats.
I think the other interesting thing about that conversation, a couple of things. Number one is that Dontrell initiated the conversation with Joe, and then Joe also stressed how, okay, you've been around the league now a couple of years. Hitters were and will adjust to you. You have to start adjusting to them.
Five of those runs came in that fifth inning. Encarnacion doing what he did last night, going into right center. Last night it was a triple. This one is just a single. And we check in with Craig Minervini.
Thanks, Rich. Good afternoon, everybody. Scott Olson had a near 3-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio in the minor leagues. That's why this sudden wildness that he showed at times here this year has puzzled the staff, including manager Joe Girardi.
Consistency. And, if he does walk a guy, don't let it turn into 2 or 3 walks. Get your focus back and make sure you're making your pitches. And I would love to see 7 innings. Obviously, if you see 7 innings out of him, he's pitching a pretty good game.
Guys, you don't hear mechanics as much here, but really between the ears. I did talk to Matt Trainer walking down from the bullpen after Olson worked out for the game today, and I looked at him and said, how'd it go? He said, very good. We'll see how that plays out, guys.
Craig, along those lines, just the mechanics, it's a good point you make, because Rick Kranitz told us, Tommy, that he thought Olson over-adjusted when he walked the first hitter the other night, and that sometimes a young pitcher won't trust his stuff, won't trust his own mechanics, and starts to tweak things and says, geez, I'm doing something wrong. How do I get back into my groove? And they thought Olson probably thought too much about making those adjustments. Runner goes. Spezio hit and run. He drills it in the corner, and with a head start, Encarnacion might score. To third. He's held as Willingham makes a great play off the wall, and the Cardinals are set up with runners at second and third.
Sometimes you can hit a ball too hard, and with Spezio drilling that ball as hard as he did, and the nice play of Willingham, and also the fact that there is nobody out, no sense taking any chances, and so Jose Oquendo, the third base coach, holding Encarnacion at third. Good play on the carom, and Encarnacion puts on the brakes. One more thing to add on Scott Olson. As Craig mentioned, 396 innings in the minor leagues, only 156 walks. He's never had to deal with wildness before. So when you haven't had to deal with something, now you try to overthink.
Girardi made the point in the papers this morning that if you're a veteran pitcher, oftentimes you've got that one pitch that if you walk a guy or suddenly you lose control, you can go to that pitch to get a strike and get yourself back in rhythm. And that's sometimes something that young pitchers have to learn how to do. And for Olson, Kranitz said, that pitch for him is his changeup. That's the one that can bring him back to where he should be.
Well, and he has his work cut out for him right here with second and third. Nobody out. The infield's back. They'll take the out, give the Cardinals a run.
So Taguchi. Boy, there's Trainer knocking the ball down.
Boy, that one bounced well out in front of the plate, too. Ball probably 2 or 3 feet in front of the plate, and then just sacrificing everything. Matt Trainer just blocking it and keeping it in front of him.
It may not have seemed like a big play at the time, but last night the pass ball that allowed the Cardinals to score the first run turned into the deciding run. Hanley dives on his feet, got a play nowhere. Encarnacion will score. Taguchi's got an infield hit, and Spezio stayed at second. So the Cardinals score first.
Well, Taguchi making contact. Good play by Hanley Ramirez to keep it there. No play at all at first base. A pretty good base running by Spezio. That runner at second base, you want to make sure the ball goes through. We've seen a few Marlins getting tossed out at third base. So Spezio held his ground and then stayed at second when he saw the play by Hanley.
Let's see how Tony La Russa wants to play this now with Yadier Molina up. Molina last night had an RBI double. Olsen misses outside. Molina's bat has yet to get going. Cardinals just a game out of first place now, behind the Reds, who suddenly have lost 2 in a row. Outside corner. It's 1-1.
Yeah, Cincinnati in Arizona, they've run up against some tough pitching from the Diamondback. Claudio Vargas last night, Brandon Webb the night before.
Bob Melvin's Diamondbacks have won 7 in a row. Here's the 1-1. Good pitch. It's 1-2. Seems like everybody's hot in the West. San Diego's won 7 in a row to pull themselves to an even 500.
Another extra inning win against Chicago, the Padres last night.
Another 1-run loss. And another night where the Cubs failed to score runs. Just one last night. Cabrera got it out there. Across, but not in time to get Molina. Nice play by Cabrera.
Not so sure he really had a chance for a double play, but a good effort by Miguel, because by the time he was able to get up and then get to the bag, he was still 2 or 3 steps from the bag. And I liked what Mike Jacobs did. Came off the bag. He realized there was no play at first base. Don't try to stay on the bag and pick it and let it get by you. Go off the bag, catch the ball, and keep the runners where they are.
And that's a mistake we've seen him make earlier in the year, so it's nice to see that type of adjustment. The switch hitting Aaron Miles. 1 out. Ground ball here could get Olsen out of further trouble.
Even an out here. He needs to get an out because the pitcher, Ponson, is up next. And if Scott's able to get out of this inning, allowing just the 1 run, he can feel okay about that.
Yeah, Ponson is a career 127 hitter. Miles got the start in game 1 of the series and had a couple of hits. He's been a nice addition to this ball club, and I think you noted it a couple nights ago. He's a Tony La Russa type guy. He can execute at the plate, do a lot of the little things.
Talked a little bit to Tony about that this morning, about his philosophy on using his bench players. And it was interesting. He likes to, early in the year, first half of the season, get them in often, keep them sharp, and also at the same time resting guys like Rowland and Edmonds, which is what he's doing today. And then come the second half of the season, should the Cardinals be in a race and he needs to have those guys in there day in and day out, the Edmonds and the Rowlands, they're a little fresher because they had some early season days off. And then the guys who played, the part-time guys, they feel good because they've had some at-bats.
More often than not, the Cardinals haven't been in the race at the end of September. They've already won it. Last year they won by 11 games.
They won 100 games. Have a tendency to do that when you win 100.
Strike to Miles. And we count full at 3-2.
What La Russa does here. Miles, the guy's not going to strike out a whole lot. He could have the runners on the move.
He's got good speed in the lead spot, and Taguchi at second. He's got his catcher Molina at first. Not running, and Miles fouls it back. Aaron Miles out of Antioch, California, in the East Bay of the San Francisco Bay. long time in the Astros organization. Did he go? No. And they're loaded for Sidney Ponson. The Braves are coming on Tuesday. It's a 3-game series, and on Thursday, the 11th, 7:05. Ladies can lock in your seats for the first Ladies' Night presented by Napa Auto Care Centers. The first 100 women in Section 240 will get a free Ladies' Night T-shirt. Also take advantage of Benihana Thursday. Save up to $10. Call 1-877-MARLINS now and get hooked up. So here is Ponson. The bags are loaded. There's one down. And a slow chopper that Cabrera is going to run through. Not sure if that ball had enough spin to kick foul, but Cabrera tried to make a play on it.
Unfortunately, it's going to be a base hit for Ponson, but would have been an out. Good base running by the runner at third to get to the plate, get a good jump. But another ball that needs to be made. That play needs to be made to get an out. Ponson, the pitcher, hit it. He's not going to be going up the line quickly. You can get an out that way, and now the inning just goes on, and it's back to the top of the order for the Cardinals.
And it's another one of those plays, Tommy, that is not an error, so that doesn't show up in the box score, but it's a play that needs to be made. And for a young pitcher like Scott Olson, teetering here early, it's a huge misplay.
This was the other night. Coming in, ball crawling up his arm for an error. This was last night on a ball hit by Taguchi. It's been a tough go for Miguel Cabrera.
Ponson gets an infield single in the RBI. Eckstein is up with a count 1-1. The margin of error is so thin for this young club that anytime they make a mistake, it usually gets compounded. Olson knocked it down. There's one there. They'll get it out at third as well. Because it was a line drive and the Cardinals were all going back to their bases, the Marlins get a fortunate break to finish off the second, and the Cardinals have a 2-0 lead. South Florida on a Sunday afternoon. The Marlins and the Cardinals here in the bottom of the second. Sidney Ponson has 2 runs to work with, and he gets Joe Borchard, Mike Jacobs, and Reggie Abercrombie.
Sidney probably spent a few afternoons on the Aruba beaches as a kid.
Yes, he did. A big volleyball enthusiast. His mother was a tremendous athlete. She was a big volleyball star growing up.
He may have a little volleyball talk with Matt Trainer.
That's right. Ponson opens Borchard's at bat with a strike. 5 for 12 is Joe since becoming a Marlin.
One thing that Ponson has done, he's been fairly consistent. He's allowed just 2 runs or less in 4 of his 5 starts. So he's kept the Cardinals in games.
And then what's interesting about Ponson is that in only one of his seasons has he had a winning record. His career record is 76-91 coming into this year. Of course, he's 3-0 here. He had the 1 year in 03 where he was 14-6 with Baltimore, and then went to San Francisco. Finished 03 with San Francisco and went 3-6.
He's one of those guys that if you threw out his name and started talking about him, people would think that he had a better record than he really does.
Absolutely. That's because he probably has better stuff than his record. If that makes any sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Borchard takes high. Joe Borchard is aboard. Time now for the Just for Men Hair Color Target Spotlight. The hammer in the spotlights. Josh Willingham last night with his 7th home run to lead all rookies in baseball. New and improved just for men hair color. Targets only to Gray. Ain't nothing like it. Here comes Jacobs now. Ponson with the breaking ball.
You mentioned Ponson going to San Francisco in 03. He pitched one game. He started game 2 of the division series against the Marlins. Did not pitch well. Marlins won that game 9-5. Ponson gave up 7 hits and 4 runs in his 5 innings.
You know, and if he does have success here as a Cardinal, I think you have to give a lot of the credit to Dave Duncan. I mean, everybody talks about Leo Mazzoni and the reclamation projects that he has had in Atlanta. Duncan has had a few of those here in St. Louis himself.
Leo Mazzoni has his work cut out for him with the Orioles. We've talked about the number of walks the Marlins staff has issued, leading the National League. The Orioles lead the American League in issuing walks.
I know he's a great talent, and I know he won the Cy Young, but Chris Carpenter is a guy that never was a big winner before he got here. Molina's throw is a laser beam, and Borchard is out. Wow, that pitch almost undressed Jacobs, and Molina put it right on the bag.
He has a fastball up and in, so Molina is able to come out of the crouch to catch the ball, so he's in a good throwing position, and then just throws a rocket to David Eckstein.
Looks like Eckstein got hit a little bit on that tag. There's a 3-1 to Jacobs. And it's outside, so Ponson has walked the first 2 men, but there's 1 out.
You don't want to second guess a guy getting thrown out. It's so easy to do. And I don't think that was a hit and run. You're not going to put that on with Mike Jacobs. But when you have a pitcher who has walked the leadoff guy in Joe Borchard, you better make sure you're going to steal that bag, because you might all of a sudden have yourself an opportunity to get a big inning, get back in the game, given the fact that the club is down 2-0. And you also have a guy back there who has a cannon in Yadier Molina.
Threw out 55% of base runners last year. Abercrombie swings through that breaking ball. And with catchers, sometimes it's like outfielders that have great arms. You know, once a guy gets the reputation of having the great arm in right or in center, you don't run on him. Same with catchers. Molina's a guy that kind of slows other teams down. They simply don't try to run against him. In your day, was Bench that type of guy? Was he the guy that...
Bench was the guy. Quick release, strong arm, and could hit 40 home runs, too.
Yeah, well, that helps. Two and 1 to Abercrombie. Abercrombie and Pujols. 2 down. You know, talking about Bench, was Bench the guy that started put the bare hand behind the leg in the catchers?
He might have been one of the first guys that did that and used a little bigger catcher's mitt.
Because in watching Molina, I was surprised, and we'll see it on this pitch, he leaves that throwing hand exposed.
Catchers nowadays, and Bench might have been one of the early ones. See the size? A pretty good size mitt. Earlier, catcher's mitt was that little pancake thing, and that's why you saw catchers using the two hands all the time. Then it became a little more of a one-handed job for a catcher to be back there and frame pitches with that little bigger size mitt.
You see some catchers hide that hand behind their leg. He kind of leaves it right up on that top of his leg.
Well, a lot of times they'll hide it completely with nobody on base. With a man on base, they'll get a little closer to the mitt so they can make that throw.
Good point. Here's Trainer. Trainer still looking for that first big league home run. Two. Sidney Ponson facing the Marlins this afternoon. Jacobs aboard. One and two.
I was going to say, has Chase Utley hit a home run yet? But the Phillies and Giants play tonight.
He hit two nights ago. He homered last night. Trainer fights that one off. You know, strangely enough, as I look at the scoreboard, there's one game going in the American League. There are 3 games going in the National League. Nobody is homered yet. Most of the games are in the 3rd inning.
How about the Mets having to call up Jose Lima to pitch this afternoon against the Braves against John Smoltz? All the pitchers the Mets have used in that 2-game series, 3 games now against Atlanta, plus Victor Zambrano going on the disabled list, will be out for the year.
Swing and a miss for a Matt Trainer. Marlins down here in the 2nd. On we go to the 3rd. 2-0 ball game. The Cardinals on top of the Marlins in the 3rd, in the sun, in high definition. Scott Olson goes to work. He gets Hector Luna, Albert Pujols, and Juan Encarnacion. If you are looking for high def, you got the set, you got the signal, but you're not on the right channel, there you go. Young Scott Olson breezed through the 1st, got in trouble in the 2nd. The Cardinals had 4 hits and picked up 2 runs. They were helped by a misplayed ball from Miguel Cabrera that did not go for an error. It's the 2nd time around for Luna, Pujols, and Encarnacion.
I think the other thing that will be interesting as we follow the season of Scott Olson is that because of some elbow tendonitis last year, he only threw 100 innings, a little over 100 innings, between his minor league games and his brief time with the Marlins. Obviously, as a starting pitcher, you want to see your starter give you 200 innings. And you look at that with Jason Vargas, even though Jason's now in the bullpen, Josh Johnson. The young guys have yet to pitch that much. So we'll have to watch that as the season unfolds.
And that's always the unknown, and it's the balancing act for any minor league development director or general manager with the young prodigies coming through the minor league system. They rarely get close to that 200 inning mark. Because obviously you don't want to damage a guy's arm and hurt his career and hurt your chances of having him succeed at the big league level. But as you noted, there's the catch, because then they get to the big league level and you want them to get to 200 innings.
Which brings us back to our conversation last night of middle relievers and why they're necessary and why every club needs them. There's Josh Johnson. He's never approached that 200 inning mark in a season.
With Olson, he has yet to get over 100 pitches in any of his 4 starts. Of course, his last start ended when he got wild. He got to just 63 pitches. 94 is where he topped out. That was his first start of the year. Hector Luna watches that sail high. And a leadoff walk here in the third inning. Not good against the Cardinals. Tuesday night, the Braves are in town. We've got it for you. Braves, Marlins. Craig Minervini starts it at 6:30 with Marlins on deck. And then the Braves and the Marlins start at 7. You always have the best seat in the house on the TV home of the Marlins, FSM Florida and Sun Sports. Pujols. Now Olsen got him in the first on a call that Pujols wasn't happy with.
Only the 9th time that Pujols has struck out this year.
On the ground, Ramirez got the out there. The turn pops out of Jacobs' glove. So the Marlins get the out at second. It's a great turn by Ugla.
Yeah, it was. He got that throw low, stayed right there with his throw onto first base. Have the chance for the double play. Pujols doesn't run that well. There's the feed. It's a little low. Dan Ugla right there with the throw, and certainly catchable for Mike Jacobs. Had a good chance to get that double play. Would have been bang, bang, very close.
So Pujols is aboard. Here's Encarnacion. And having seen Jack McKeon last night, I almost called him Encarcerone.
Which Jack probably still is.
Good to see him at the ballpark.
Jack would have had fun with Abercrombie.
Or Ugla.
You know, we talked about and showed you a shot of Josh Johnson sitting on the bench. He's pitching Tuesday night. A good matchup of some young right-handers going against Kyle Davies, young right-hander of the Braves.
Davies hasn't had a whole lot of run support this year. And the Braves, all of a sudden, the Braves find themselves, Tommy, in a place that they haven't been since 1993, and that's 9 games out of first place.
Yeah, they've lost 4 straight. And 2 straight to the Mets at Shea Stadium.
They are 6 under the 500 mark. They can't win 1-run games either. They're 5-11 in those. Encarnacion with a big swing, and it's 0-2. Meet the Mets.
Yeah.
Look at that.
There you are in the NL East. They're going to have to deal with some pitching problems now. I mentioned Victor Zambrano came out of the game, elbow injury, and is going to miss the rest of the year.
And the Phillies have won 7 in a row to get to second place. Oh, 2.
You know, Rich, we talked a little bit on the pregame show, the on-deck show with Craig Minervini. We talked about how to avoid those big innings, and I focused on issuing walks. But another thing, and it's just come into play here in this game, making the little plays, making some plays. Possible double play, the play earlier that Miguel Cabrera had.
Willingham there to make the catch.
You know, if your pitcher makes that pitch and all of a sudden the defense doesn't make that play, now all of a sudden that inning is extended.
And it not only affects young pitchers, we've seen it affect Dontrell Willis this year.
And you know what? The pass ball charged to Miguel Olivo last night, a pitch that moved, a tough pitch to catch, but you never know how Dontrell would have reacted had the Cardinals not scored and Mulder would have struck out and they hadn't scored that inning.
Right. It seemed like an innocuous run at the time. It turned out to be the margin of defeat. Here's Spezio, who doubled in the second. I talked to Scott before the game, and the band, Tommy, is, well, they're not recording right now. They've kind of taking a hiatus.
They're on hiatus. Yeah, that's a
Yes.
good way to put it. I think the band was probably at its height when the Angels won the World Series.
It was. Well, the year after.
The year after,
The
yes.
victory tour. The band's name is Sandfrog. Now, the first name that the band had was Spastic Dysphonia. And they quickly changed it because they found kids couldn't pronounce it or couldn't remember it. Spezio goes down. And Olsen gets out of the third. Fun in the sun. A little more fun right now for the St. Louis Cardinals. Craig Minervini and Tommy Hutton, Rich Waltz with you. Scott Olsen swings and pops it up. Still looking for his first major league hit. Pujols there to make the catch. And there's one down. Once again, we wanted to say hello to everybody watching on AFN, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces, serving in 175 countries, and all of you aboard ships at sea. Hope you're having a good day or night or wherever you may be. Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, and Japan. Welcome to South Florida. Welcome to Dolphin Stadium.
And I echo your sentiments earlier. Thanks for your help, and we hope we're giving you a good day. I mean, the weather here is absolutely beautiful, and we just hope we can give you a good game.
Marlins are hoping to get a W as well. The Cardinals have taken the first 2 games of this 3-game series. I'm sure a lot of you watching on AFN grew up in the heartland, listening to Jack Buck and the Cardinals. Cardinals extremely popular in the Midwest.
Very large radio network.
Yep, new stadium this year. Tommy's going to miss the press food in the old park. A nice throw by Eckstein. And there's 2 down. Like how I just slid that in before the promo. All right, Marlin fans, get hooked up with the Home Equity Mortgage Marlins 10-pack and lock in your seats for the biggest games of the season. Price is starting at $90 for the Home Equity Mortgage 10-pack. Get to see your Marlins battle the Red Sox and 9 other great teams. Make sure you're hooked up with the 10-pack today by calling 1-877-MARLINS or visiting FloridaMarlins.com.
You're giving me a segue to a great comment Joe Girardi had to me the other day in Washington. I was down on the field behind the cage during batting practice, and it was at a time I'm usually not down there. And I said, yeah, I enjoy this. You know, it's a different time. And he goes, you're not kidding me. You're just telling me the press food isn't any good. See, he knows. Yeah. He knows.
Because he spent a year as a broadcaster.
That's right.
And he knows that the spread they put on in the clubhouse in some ballparks can be better. But not here at Dolphin Stadium. Ugla swings and misses. I mean, today, apple pancakes.
And you, being the pancake expert, would love those.
Yes. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Ugla pokes it to the right side, but Encarnacion is there. And he makes the catch. And Sidney Ponson works a 1-2-3 third. He's sailing right along. Cardinals lead it. 2-0. Let's hope they didn't use a Sharpie. That doesn't come off so easily. It's 2-0. Cardinals on top of the Marlins.
Just reminds us we'll be visiting lots of different schools in the South Florida area next week.
That's right. I'm headed to Parkland. Where are you going?
Going up to, I'll be in Boynton Beach. I'm not sure of the name of the elementary school yet. We'll talk about it, I believe, Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So Tuesday night we'll give our reports.
A lot of the Marlins players and staff headed out to area schools next week. So Taguchi. Taguchi had an infield single which drove in a run back in the third. Here's the 1-0. Up the middle, Ugla. Nice backhand play. 1 down. And even in the sun, we've got the duck today. The Aflac trivia question. In 2003, 20 innings, Cardinals versus Marlins. Who had the winning hit?
Boy, I remember that game. I remember the winning hit came off Carl Pavano.
So it was a Cardinal
who had to. He was scheduled to start, and he had to come into the game in relief, and ended up taking the loss. And after the game, the team then flew to Arizona. That was a long day.
I guess so. That one hit Yadier Molina.
See, I can remember everything, Rich, except who got the game-winning hit for the Cardinals.
Maybe it was a Joe McEwing or one of those guys that would, you know, in an extra inning game be in there.
Good chance.
Here's Aaron Miles. Miles fouls it back. Miles was an Astro coming up in the minor leagues, and he was involved in that scary incident. Remember when those Astros minor leaguers in spring training had their hotel room invaded by gunmen?
Were held hostage.
Yes.
For a while.
Morgan Ensberg was one of those players, and so was Miles. Miles trying to bunt, and he takes it. Now, Miles was it ended with, there were two gunmen. One of them was shot, and it was Miles who wrestled the gun away from him because Miles was the one that was being held after the others were taped up. The police stormed the room, and Miles was wrestling with the guy for the gun, and the police shot the gunman, and Miles raced out of the room, and thankfully all of the players, and there was one player's wife in there as well, were fine. Brian Falkenborg is up.
Makes you wonder about the health of Sidney Ponson right now with Falkenberg up this early. And Ponson holding a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, and with John Gall on deck, there's a pretty good indication that Ponson's coming out of the game. There's John Gall.
So that's going to be it for Sir Sidney.
Olsen thought he caught the corner with that breaking ball.
Think about those incidents, and it's certainly not to be taken lightly, but I guess the thing that came to my mind is I tend to take things lightly at times. It's when you wish you were a roommate of John Rauch or Franklin Herman.
Well, Miles said it changed his life dramatically, just the way he lives his life after that incident in 2000.
No question about that.
Here comes Gall, pinch hitting for Ponson. We remind you that tomorrow night on Sun Sports, Whit Watson will referee the discussion. And the topics are far and wide. NBA playoffs, Major League Baseball, the PGA. Some of the top sports journalists in Florida will join Whit. Talk about the Heat, all the NBA playoff action. 7 o'clock on Sun Sports. Right elbow discomfort is what we are told that Sidney Ponson experienced. And coming off of what Tommy talked about with Victor Zambrano and his elbow injury, which has put him out for the year in the Mets rotation, we see Gall coming in, and Ponson is done for the day.
Talked a little bit about John Gall the other night, a teammate with Joe Borchard at Stanford. Been a good minor league hitter. Hasn't really gotten that opportunity at the major league level.
He's kind of like a Josh Willingham who's finally getting an opportunity.
But A lot of minor league games and a close to 300 career average.
It's a pretty good team at Stanford, wasn't it?
Jody Garrett, left-handed hitter, center fielder, Eric Bruntlett.
Mark Marcus always has a good team at Stanford. Gall hits that one well into center field, and it's a base hit. Molina around third. He'll score easily, and the Cardinals keep hitting. They get a pinch hit RBI single from John Gall.
Well, Gall hasn't had a whole lot of opportunities, just 2 for 11. He's now 3 for 12. It's a high fastball, a little bit of a mistake from Scott Olson. Pitches up, Gall stays on top of it and picks up the RBI.
Here's Eckstein. Flied out and bounced into a bizarre double play in the second inning.
It's not that, it's the sign. It's the sign on the back of the
Ball in the dirt.
Yeah, it was more of a line drive type double play, but then knocked down.
Yeah, in the scorebook it reads, what, 1, 2, 5?
Yeah, knocked down by Scott Olson, but because it was a line drive, the runner at second base held a little bit. Scott threw to the plate for 1 out, and then alertly Matt Trainer threw to third for the 2nd out.
Ricky Nolasco is up. And Rick Kranitz is on his way out to the mound.
Well, again, the pitch count getting up. A lot of pitches, 66 pitches, and just 1 out here in the 4th inning. And all after a nice 1-2-3 first inning for Scott Olson.
The 2-0. Strike.
Tony La Russa, not a manager afraid to put on a hit and run with runners at first and second. You don't see it too often.
Got the perfect guy at the plate to do it.
Perfect guy at the plate, but you don't have the perfect pitcher on the mound. When you put a hit and run on, you'd like to have a pitcher who's going to be around the strike zone.
Yeah, that would have been a tough pitch to do it on.
And that's why.
Yeah.
If you have a pitcher struggling with his control, you're actually doing him a favor by putting the hit and run on. And why mess things up when you have Albert Pujols in the hole?
Eckstein walks. A familiar sight for Eckstein. And Hector Luna comes to the plate. Luna has bounced out and has walked.
4 walks now and a hit batter in this outing for Scott Olson.
There's a strike. Jose Guillen has homered for Washington, who lost in extra innings to Pittsburgh last night, but it's 5-1 Nationals in the 4th inning today. Check swing. Thought he went, and he did. Aaron Miles walked. John Gall pinch hitting for Ponzone, an RBI single, and then Eckstein worked to walk. Luna waiting on an 0-2. And Olson gets him with a changeup.
I think you can see his ability when he throws strikes. He has good stuff. He's tough to hit. Got ahead. There's the changeup and really fooled Luna. You know, I was just thinking, because I saw this guy down in the Cardinals clubhouse with John Gall out there who pinch hit. He got an opportunity last year when Larry Walker went on the disabled list. And Larry Walker's here today. Former Cardinal, former longtime Expos player, just a terrific player with the Rockies. He lives up in West Palm area and came down to see some of his buddies with the Cardinals.
Might have stopped by to see an old Rocky buddy, too, Joe Girardi. Pujols. And Olson didn't get that call.
And that pitch, as we talked about with Dontrell, is needed for the lefty. If you get that call, which is a pretty good pitch, it really helps your changeup and helps set that pitch up.
Well, it also helps getting to throw an 0-1 pitch to Pujols rather than a 1-0 pitch.
There was the changeup. And Albert didn't hold back on this changeup.
1-1, 2 down. Cardinals threatening to bust this one open.
Albert Pujols, among everything else, 12 for 23 this year with runners in scoring position. And pretty good in his career with the bases loaded.
Off the glove of Ramirez into left field. Miles scores. Gall will score. Eckstein to third. Albert Pujols adds to his already impressive resume, his 37th and 38th RBIs of the season.
We see this often. We saw it last night. Watch Matt Trainor's catcher's mitt, where he wants his pitch. Down. I want it down. Look where it is. Change up, and it's up. He showed him the fastball the pitch before, tried to throw that good change up again, but it has to be down to be successful. You can't make that mistake to Albert Pujols.
He won't get a chance to make it again because Joe Girardi has come to get Scott Olson. Scott Olson, a frustrating afternoon here at Dolphin Stadium, a 5-0 Cardinal lead. And St. Louis has pushed across 3 runs. The 2-run scoring hits, the pinch hit by John Gall, and then Albert Pujols with a 2-run single.
Well, we talked about Scott Olson having that 1-2-3 first inning. 11 of the last 18 St. Louis Cardinal hitters have reached base.
Encarnacion singled in the second, lined out in the third. And Nolasco pops him up. Out of play for Matt Trainer.
Now time to ponder. We saw that situation last night a little different with Dontrell Willis, who spent a good 2 innings chatting with Joe Girardi.
Breaking ball, soft one, and it nestles into center field, base hit. Look at Pujols. Running hard, takes the extra base. He's not beyond doing the little things for St. Louis as well.
No, that's part of the package. You know, he doesn't have the greatest of speed. Good curveball, but right off the end of the bat, and Encarnacion drops it in the right spot. But going all the way, look at the look over his shoulder. knowing that he's going to be able to make it to third. So that's part of that package. It's a smart ball player. Yeah, he has that unbelievable talent to hit a ball a long way and hit 330, but a good base runner, too.
This fourth inning is starting to feel like the fifth inning of the last two games. As the switch hitting Spezio comes up.
Well, and it kind of falls along the lines what we were talking about. A hit batter, a walk, 2 walks. So 3 base runners, and they've all scored in this inning. So how to stay away from those big innings, try to prevent that stuff.
Spezio takes outside. 2-0. Joe Girardi has seen this before. Spezio's double back in the second. His father, we talked about the other night, Ed, who was a major leaguer. Scott never got to see his father play. He was born the day that Ed retired. But Ed transformed their basement. He grew up in Illinois. Transformed the basement into like a hitting workout room with a little cage and tea and everything. And he made sure that his son was a switch hitter. And Scott said it didn't really click in until he was about 9 or 10. But they had all these drills and all this stuff going on. He got a Julian Javier bat, and his father drilled holes in it to make it light enough for him to swing it.
Former Cardinal middle infielder, Julian Javier.
Father of Stan Javier. Here's the 2-2. That one is hit well down the right field line, and Spezio, it hit a glove from a kid, and I think it'll be a ground rule double. I think a youngster reaching out almost in Jeffrey Mayer fashion, only this kid didn't make the catch. He gets the glove back, though.
Westball ripped by Spezio, and again a pitch, a fastball that's up. Let's see the youngster right there.
Oh, he lost the glove. Where's Richie Garcia when you need him?
It was not a home run. It hit the top of the wall. But luckily the kid got the glove back anyway.
Oh. He's got to go tell mom and dad that he almost got one.
I didn't mean to. I was just trying to catch it.
There's no usher chasing him. Yeah, see, he just went to check in. He said, look, that was me.
These 2 runs that have scored, too, on the base hits off Ricky Nolasco, tagged on to the line of Scott Olson.
So Taguchi opened the inning with the ground ball out.
So the 3rd straight game, the Cardinals have batted around in an inning. The 2 previous games, the 5th inning, today here in the 4th. You see why the Cardinals are such a solid team. You see the veteran players. You see them making good base running decisions, holding on balls hit in front of them, going from first to third. And the Cardinals doing it today without Scott Rowland and Jim Edmonds.
You know, thinking about that kid in right field, Jeffrey Mayer turned out to be a great college baseball player. He had a great year this year. I'm not sure what the school. It's a small school up in the Northeast, but he's their career leading hitter. In that case, he helped the Yankees. In this case, this kid may have helped the Marlins because it kept Encarnacion from scoring from first.
That was against the Orioles, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it was ruled a home run. But in this case, I mean, if
And the Oriole right fielder, I believe, was Tony Tarasco.
yeah, and it was Richie Garcia was the umpire out there in the corner. Velasco misses outside.
I'm going to have to check, Rich, on your free time. I'm starting to get concerned that you know that Jeffrey Mayer had a good collegiate career.
You know what? You know why? He was on the Red Sox pregame show the other night.
Okay.
When the Red Sox and the Yankees, he was talking to Dennis Eckersley, and I said, well, who's that guy? And they flashed up Jeffrey Mayer, and they flashed up his career batting average. 3-2 pitch. So Taguchi to left field.
And now you can deduct the direct TV.
Yeah, thank you. Big Albert Pujols and another big inning for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Rich, it's great to see. We've seen him on television the last 2 nights, and we certainly miss talking to him on a daily basis. Jack McKeon, you look great. How are you, Jack?
Great. Great to be back. It's, this is a wonderful place to be. I love South Florida and all the wonderful fans that we've had for years. And it's just been an enjoyable couple, 3 days.
It's hard, guys, to get a word in here because every time you say hi to Jack, another fan comes in front of us. Hey, Jack. And yesterday you had the honor of having a field named after you in Kendall.
Well, that was a great honor considering the fact that I've only been here for 3 years, and really to have the people show that kind of respect and hospitality for me was really special. And it was a great celebration, and I'm honored. But that's the way the South Florida fans are. They're all great.
They loved you. Let's talk about what you're doing for the club. You're looking at some teams. You're going to go up to Jupiter tomorrow. Are you enjoying your role?
I am. I'm really relaxed and having fun and getting out to see some minor leaguers, which in the past I've always had a pretty good backlog of all these players that could play. So now I'm getting another, a short opportunity to go out and see some of our better prospects and maybe find a gem in somebody else's organization.
When you talk to players who leave the game, miss the jersey, they all miss the camaraderie of the jersey. I'm sure the competitor in you still misses the daily grind of baseball.
Well, I don't think you can ever lose that. Really, I sit and watch the Marlins play on television and watch a number of other games, and you're always managing with those guys. And I go out and see my grandkids play, and I'm managing that game. So I don't think you'll ever lose it. Do I want to do it right quick? Give me a few more weeks.
Let me ask you about a couple of the Marlins who've come on. Josh Willingham. Now, obviously, with your veteran-laden team, he wasn't going to crack the lineup you had last year, but has he exceeded at all maybe a forecast you had for him as a hitter?
Well, we all thought he was going to hit. It was just a question of where he could play. And then with the veteran lineup that we had last year, it was pretty tough to get a guy like any of these youngsters into the lineup. But I think he's done a remarkable job with the bat, and he's got an opportunity on a steady basis here. And I think he's going to be one of the better hitters on his club.
And Hanley Ramirez has impressed you too.
Well, I had never seen him before except for spring training, and now I've been watching him on TV and out here in person. He's a very exciting player, and I think Larry and the organization did a great job in getting him in a trade.
Let me ask you this one. This may be a tough one. Would this have been a tough club because of the youth for you to manage?
Well, no, don't forget, I've been through this before. I had the Oakland club for 2 years when we were in the same position here, and I had a lot of fun there. I was there in '77 and '78, and all of a sudden in '80 they won the division. So it can happen, but I enjoyed working with the young guys. I enjoy the young guys. Kansas City, I put the young guys, Brett and Collins and Jimmy Wolford and all those young pitchers into the lineup, and we were successful.
Great seeing you, Jack. Thanks for your time. Okay?
Hey, thanks. Good to see you, Greg, and say hello to all my fans here in South Florida. I love them.
All right. Guys, take it away.
All right, thank you. Joe Borchard at the plate. Walk back in the second. Two outs here. Brian Falkenborg throws a strike. He takes over for Sidney Ponson, who went the first three and then left with elbow discomfort. And he's retired Cabrera and Willingham. Out in front of Borchard, 0-2. Joe pounds it up the middle. Luna gets the out, a 1-2-3 inning in the fourth for the Marlins. The Cardinals have come to town. They've beaten the Marlins the first two nights. They're up right now. Top of the fifth inning, 7-0 ball game. Cardinals on top. St. Louis with a big fourth inning, putting 5 runs on the board. Goes to work here in the fifth. it's Yadier Molina who leads it off and fouls it back. All right, we were talking about Jeffrey Mayer, the kid lives in infamy in that reach over the wall. Wesleyan University, he hit .375 this year, and he finished with a school record 189 hits.
And a left-handed batter.
Yeah, we'll have to. I don't know if he's a switch, but in this picture, it looks like he's left-handed. Breaking ball hits Yadier Molina. That's the second time he's been hit today. The first that Ricky Nolasco has him. All right, our Aflac trivia question.
Aflac!
I'm on with Super Joe McEwing.
Aflac!
Fernando Vina.
Fernando Vina, another Tony La Russa type player, and just been told he was, and now I do remember that he was 0 for 9 going into that at bat. That's a long day. I actually started another score sheet because my scorecard goes. I can stretch about 16 innings out of it. And I had to grab another sheet and start the next 4.
Here's the 0-1. Ground ball. Jacobs spinning. And out there, Hanley's relay is not in time. Well, there was a game finished last night that took 2 days to play in the Pacific Coast League.
That was that 20-inning game, wasn't it?
24 innings.
24 innings.
It started 7 o'clock on Friday night, and the game time was just over 8 hours. 14 scoreless innings. Wiki Gonzalez got a hit to score a run, and that was it.
Not as long as that infamous game between Rochester and Pawtucket.
No, that was Wade Boggs was in that.
Wade Boggs and Cal Ripken played against each other in that game, and I believe that one was 33 innings.
Mm-hmm.
But they completed that one later in the year.
This one, I'm reading this, they suspended play at 1:25 a.m. after a 7 o'clock start, and then finished it the next day. And then went on and played another game after that. Valkenborg trying to bunt. Nashville and New Orleans. Sounds strange to say they're in the Pacific Coast League, but they've expanded that league.
Well, years ago, as a player in the Pacific Coast League, literally in Spokane, Washington, at that time the makeup of the league had Tulsa and Oklahoma City and Hawaii, all in the Pacific Coast League. We had some long trips. Indianapolis.
Now, when you
was
guys
part of the Pacific Coast League.
When you guys went to Hawaii, didn't you play more than like a 3-game series?
You would go there and play 7 games. You would play a split doubleheader on the last day, and it was a curfewed game because you had a flight then back to the mainland. You had to catch about 11:30 at night. It's a great Chinese restaurant. Everybody would go eat in their uniform between the split doubleheader right across from the ballpark.
Really? Well, you know, when it's 7-0 in the 5th inning. Valkenborg bunts it and going to roll foul. Nice job by Jacobs because Valkenborg now is out. Our DirecTV look ahead. The Braves are coming. The Braves are coming Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And all 3 games are in HD on FSN Florida. And it's on to Pittsburgh. And we've got that game covered for you as well at FSN Florida. Great to see that new ballpark. And what a great sight downtown Pittsburgh is from PNC.
We should be there at a good time for weather as well. Hey, going to Hawaii, though, and obviously coming from the Northwest, you were looking forward to the sunshine, the beaches, and, oh, yeah, you had to play some games.
I'll bet they had a pretty good home field record.
They did, and you were usually ready to leave after a week.
Whose affiliate was that? Is it Padres?
A few years, actually, they always had veteran teams. Chuck Tanner was the manager over there. At that time, they were the White Sox. But they always had 3 or 4, like, former fairly big-name major league players who were on their way down that they would sign just to get some name recognition.
Little pop-up. They also had a pretty good radio announcer named Al Michaels.
Al Michaels was there.
Yeah. 7-0. Cardinals on top in the 5th. A lot of things have happened already in this ball game. Not many of them good for the Marlins. With Craig Minervini and Tommy Hutton, Rich Waltz with you. Jacobs, Abercrombie, and Trainer to face Falkenberg. Sidney Ponson started and looked great through the first 3 innings. And then with elbow discomfort, came out of the game. By then, the Cardinals had put a bunch of runs on the board. They have a 7-0 lead, and so Ponson won't be eligible to get his 4th win, though he pitched well enough, certainly, that you would think had he hung in there for another couple innings, he would have gotten the W.
Falkenberg now with a chance to pick up his first win this year. Well, you really got me thinking about some of those guys on that Hawaii Islanders team. That's what they were called. And I said a lot of veteran guys. Bo Belinsky, remember facing Bo Belinsky, Willie Kirkland, Walt Nonek Williams.
Now, Bo Belinsky was a wild guy on the mainland. I can just imagine what he was like in Hawaii.
Out of control.
Here's the 1-2. Foul back. Of course, if you want to go back 20, 30 years before then, the Pacific Coast League was almost a third major league. The American, the National, and the Pacific Coast League was very high caliber of ball from the 20s, 30s, 40s. Just a bit high.
Going after our high home RoboCam.
Yeah, don't do that.
That's very expensive, Brian Falkenborg. Look out. No chance for Molina. Here it comes. Sound and all. We got our entire crew on the ball this afternoon, don't we?
Here's the 2-2. Jacobs kind of dumps it into left field, and a nice running catch there by Hector Luna. Who knows, maybe some of you watching on AFN are out near the Hawaiian Islands. The American Forces Network is broadcasting this ball game to our armed forces serving in 175 countries and aboard ships at sea. They're watching around the world in Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, and Japan. Maybe Southeast Asia as well. Who knows? Into left field, Luna's going to be at the warning track, and he missed it. Abercrombie in at second. Now, we've seen Hector Luna in just about every spot for the Cardinals in this series. But he looked overmatched on that fly ball.
Well, he started at a lot of different positions, and this ball hit off the end of the bat. You see the bat just shattering. And he gets back not far enough. Ball certainly carried a lot further than he thought, especially seeing the broken bat.
And it goes as a double. No, E7. Wow, they put a double up on the, they put a hit up on the scoreboard, and they take it down. So E7. and take away a hit, so the Marlins still have only the Ugla single back in the first inning. Trainer.
You think about pitchers, and with Ponson having to come out of the game, saw a note today in the paper on this date in baseball history, so May 7th, back in 1917. Interesting pitching matchup.
Eckstein with the throw.
Babe Ruth beat Walter Johnson in a 1-0 game. And, of course, the Babe supplied the run with a sac fly.
Nice. You get hooked up as the Braves are coming to town. On Tuesday night, the series opens. And if you've got a coupon from the Miami Herald, you can take advantage of the Miami Herald 2 for Tuesday deal. So get the Herald on Tuesday, get the coupon, and get out to the park, 1-877-MARLINS, or log on to FloridaMarlins.com.
And to show you, Rich, why Babe Ruth is still the best player ever, because it got me thinking. I look back, his career record, he won 94 games as a pitcher with the Red Sox and had a 2.28 career earned run average. 107 complete games and 17 shutouts.
Encarnacion squeezes it. Don't see Barry Bonds doing that, I guess. Cardinals on top, 7-0. Cardinals on top, 7-0. Stop me if you've heard this before. They had a 7-0 lead last night. They had a 7-0 lead on Friday night. And it's 7-0 here on a Sunday afternoon with Hector Luna leading off. Luna, Pujols, Encarnacion, Ricky Nolasco. That one is hit foul and almost got Jose Oquendo. Luna 0 for 2. Scott Olson started the ball game. And he came out in that fourth inning. Olson's line, 3 2/3, 6 hits, all 7 runs, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts.
If you go back, Rich, and this is where you really get in trouble with bullpens and stressing guys out. You go back to Scott Olson's last start in Washington, or against Philadelphia, at home. That was the start he had to leave after walking 4 guys in the 4th inning, so 3+ innings. That's from your starter. The next night's starter against Washington in Washington was Brian Moeller, who did not make it through 5 innings. The next night was Josh Johnson, who pitched well, but because of pitch count, only pitched 5 innings. The next night was Sergio Mitre against St. Louis back here, 4 1/3 innings. If your starters can't take you into the 6th or 7th inning, Dontrell only got 4 2/3 as he struggled last night. And your starters can't take you into the 6th or 7th inning, you're going to put a lot of stress and strain on that bullpen, and it makes for long games.
A lot of Nolasco, a lot of Franklin Herman, a lot of Messenger. Abercrombie's there. And there's one down here in the 6th inning. Marlin fans, here's your chance to win authentic game-used gear. Stop by the Marlins in Miami store, purchase any 2 caps, and you'll automatically be entered to win a monthly random drawing. Stop by the Marlins in Miami store today and get geared up. Marlins baseball, get hooked up. And a breaking ball from Nolasco for a strike 2. Albert Pujols, and yes, he's done some damage. A 2-run single back in the 4th. 38 runs driven in. scorched. Cabrera squeezes. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Florida Marlins LP. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the expressed written consent of the Florida Marlins LP, or Juan Encarnacion for that matter. Striking, it's 0-1.
Well, he's had himself a couple of hits today. Came into this game 1 for 9 in the series. He came into the series just hitting .219 for St. Louis.
Here's the 1-1. Tommy, do you hear a ticking?
I hear yeah, I'm a little concerned.
Time running out in the 6th. Cardinals up 7-0. Velasco, outside corner. Down goes Encarnacion. Let's go to the bottom of the 6th. 7-0 Cards. We go to the bottom of the 6th. Hanley Ramirez, Ugla and Cabrera to follow. Hanley's pulled the ball twice on the ground. This is his first at bat against Brian Falkenberg.
Yeah, you can see the job so far. Falkenborg's done a pretty good job out there. He just joined the ball club last week. Came up from AAA Memphis. Always love to watch foul balls. I'm watching behind home plate. There are about 10 or 15 people standing up, grabbing, grasping. The ball hit a couple of things, caromed over to a guy who was just sitting there. He reached out and caught it.
The 2-1. And it's 2-2. The same thing happened again.
Same thing happened again. Bounced over to a lady who just was sitting there. She got out of her seat but made a nice catch. Everybody else was there. She is. She didn't have to move. Everybody else was standing up trying to grab at things.
So the moral of the story is don't get out of your seat.
Yeah, just wait there. It'll get to you. If it's meant to be, it'll get to you.
Falkenborg, if he gets through, I mean, if he pitches reasonably well, it's his ball game to win. And so far, he has done just that. That's a foul ball. That guy saved his buddy.
Yeah, that type of foul ball, you may want to make sure you have a glove.
His buddy was right in the path of that scorching line drive. What are friends for?
Yeah, take care of him. Good play, too.
And Hanley wraps out a hit into left center field. Will go to the wall. Taguchi up with it. Ramirez with a leadoff double here in the 6th inning.
9 doubles on the year for Hanley Ramirez. 3 triples. He's a good at bat. Fouled off some tough pitches. Got himself an account, and with the situation in the game, he knew he was going to get a fastball. That went up a little bit out over the plate and hammered.
We're talking about the first 2 games of this series and how the Cardinals built 7-0 leads now in all 3 games. Last night, the Marlins chipped away with 3 runs in the 6th and 3 runs in the 8th, but couldn't come all the way back and lost 7-6. Ugla's 1 for 2. That 1-0 was a line drive back in the 3rd inning. And here comes Dave Duncan, the pitching coach of the Cardinals.
Well, since his call-up for Falkenborg, this is his longest outing. Most he's pitched was an inning. Pitched an inning against Houston. So this meeting out there twofold, to talk to him a little bit about that, give him a chance to breathe a little, and also to give the bullpen a little time, too.
Speaking of Dave Duncan, here's our Corona miles away from ordinary factoid. 27th season, ranked 2nd to Galen Cisco's 28th season. As we talked about the other day, Tony La Russa also claiming and saying that they're trying to research this, but he feels that Duncan in his 27 years has more wins than any pitching coach in history, and that he would have more wins than Cisco did in his 28.
Yeah, I wouldn't dispute that.
No, because Duncan
He's had some great pitchers. He's been with some good teams.
Right. I mean, remember those great Oakland staffs of Dave Stewart, Bob Welch, and of course here in St. Louis.
Bob Welch won 27 games one year.
Lamar Hoyt when he was in Chicago. Ugla got it in on his hands. Luna's coming in, and it falls in front of him for a base hit. So the Marlins, who scratched their way back last night, are beginning to show signs of life here in the 6th inning.
Well, good to see Danny Ugla pick up a base hit that way, because he's lined out a number of times. He's hit some balls hard without the benefit of getting a base hit. This time he's able to just drop it in front of Luna, gets himself the single, and quickly Tony La Russa comes out, so that's going to be all for Falkenborg.
La Russa on his way to the mound and on his way to the bullpen as well. Here's our Marooney called to the bullpen.
Welcome back here to Dolphin Stadium. The Marlins with a rally going, and here's what's being heard around the water cooler, brought to you by Gatorade.
Let's go, Marlins! Let's go! Let's go, Marlins! Let's go!
Guys, great energy from the softball team at Plantation Key in Key Largo. And normally you see sort of the college guys with the writing, but these guys came here with great energy. They've been screaming all game. Who came up with the idea for the Marlins?
We all kind of did. We just kind of decided to do it in the car on the way up here.
Gotta hear the best Let's Go Marlins.
Let's go, Marlins! Let's go!
Ah, isn't she great? Good fans here. They're screaming throughout, trying to spur on the Fish here. Back to you.
Well, the Fish need some runs. Cabrera needs a hit. He's 0 for 2. Josh Hancock is on the mound now. And he misses down low.
Hancock the other night came in, first game of this series, 2/3 of an inning. Miguel trying to extend a little hitting streak. He's hit in 5 straight. Nothing like Edgar Renteria, though. Have to see if Edgar got a hit today. Shortstop for the Braves this year. Edgar came into the day with a 21-game hitting streak.
Falkenborg, or rather, Hancock misses outside. Falkenborg went 2 innings. He's responsible for Ramirez and Ugla. Renteria had 2 hits today.
So the former Marlins shortstop feeling much more comfortable with Atlanta than he did with Boston.
Atlanta beating New York 8-1 in the 7th. Cabrera hits a scorcher. Miles, Eckstein, and the Cardinals get 2. The Marlins will get a run, but certainly they'd like more. No RBI.
Well, you're right about that being a scorcher. This ball was stung, but the Cardinals make the play. And by making that play, trying to bail out their pitchers, their relief pitchers, and they turn it into a double play.
In that Atlanta lead over the Mets, Jeff Francoeur hit his 6th homer, a 3-run shot. Brian Jordan hit his 2nd. Carlos Beltran homering for the Mets run. That was off of John Smoltz. The most exciting thing in that game was Jose Lima's hair.
And I believe a couple of guys got thrown out early in the game by Angel Hernandez.
Lima had bright blonde hair in that start. It was one of those do not adjust your set things. Lima lasted just 5 innings, gave up 5 runs in that ball game. Smoltz pitched very well. Willingham fouls it back. Josh has struck out and bounced out. The Braves here on Tuesday night. Randy Messenger in the bullpen. Brian Moeller, John Thompson on Tuesday. Josh Johnson, Kyle Davies on Wednesday. And a Mitre Tim Hudson matchup on Thursday. Down goes Willingham. Marlins get a couple hits and a run, but still trailing 7-1. For winners in game 1 of this series, 7-2, 7-6 last night. It's 7-1 here in the top of the 7th in high definition. Spezio, Taguchi, Molina against Randy Messenger. Takes over for Ricky Nolasco. Spezio goes after the first pitch and pops it up. It's Jacobs. Makes the play. We check in with Craig Minervini.
Well, thank you, guys. We talked to those other fans from Key Largo, showed the nice design they did. How about this guy right here? Florida's #1. And this is what I love. Marlins. And look at this very attractive drawing. Can you catch that? What is that?
It's saying no good for the birds. No good.
No good for the birds. All right. Very,
Marlins #1.
very nicely done. And you are, okay. Isn't that good stuff? I mean, that must have taken hours to draw with all the colors. Nicely done, Raj.
Okay, thank you very much, man. Go Marlins.
All right. Take it away, Ray. Wasn't that good, guys?
Yeah, it was great. Craig making friends,
Always does, always does.
shaking hands, kissing babies. Taguchi up, the 1-0.
Well, the one guy, and we talked about it a while ago, that has been extremely consistent out of the bullpen has been Randy Messenger. No walks in his 9 innings.
One of the things he's added to his arsenal this year, and he threw it a little bit last year, was a split finger fastball. That's just a garden variety fastball there. And the difference is this year he'll throw the split to right-handers. He used to throw it just to lefties. And it was Paul LaDuca last year who convinced him late in the season that that's a pitch you should show to both the righties and the lefties.
And I thought Ricky Nolasco settled down nicely. He came in with a couple of men on base, gave up back-to-back hits, but after that, in his work today, a good 2 1/3 innings, gave up just the 2 hits, had a couple of strikeouts, no walks.
The 2-2. Taguchi pops it up. Cabrera battling the sun. Two down. Marlin fans, don't miss a second of the action. You can catch every game online, live on MLB.com Game Day Audio, and you can catch games you've missed on demand. Sign up now exclusively at FloridaMarlins.com. Molina to Hanley. Randy Messenger. 1, 2, 3 in the 7th. Marlins down a bunch, 7-1. Joe Borchard leads it off in the 7th, with Mike Jacobs and Abercrombie to follow. Borchard takes a breaking ball for a strike from Josh Hancock. Joe takes down low. Borchard, this is his 4th game with the ball club. He's shown some patience at the plate. He's drawn 3 walks.
Yeah, trying to get a base hit today because he's hit in the previous 3 games that he's played.
Fouls that one back. Todd Wellemeyer, who had a nice outing his last time out, warming up. You can see his season numbers are pretty good. Borchard stays in at 1 and 2. In baseball today, Washington on top of Pittsburgh 5-3 in the 8th.
So after the Marlins beating the Nats a couple of games up in that series, they've won 2 out of 3, or on their way of winning 2 out of 3.
Jose Guillen's hit his 3rd homer of the season. Smoltz and Atlanta lead the Mets 8-1 in the 7th. Houston and Colorado are just underway.
You know, that'll even John Smoltz's record. He came into the game with a 1-2 record, ERA a little over 4.
Hideki Matsui has hit his 5th, and the Yankees have a 6-1 lead over Texas in the 4th. The captain is homered in Boston. Jason Varitek his 2nd. 4-2 Boston over Baltimore. Bottom 4. Twins beating the Tigers 3-0 in the 5th. Borchard reaches out and slices it down the left field line, and it's going to land just foul. Tigers a game and a half behind the White Sox in the American League Central.
White Sox continue to get big hitting from Jim Thome. Last night hit his 13th home run. Thome with 32 RBIs.
Kansas City beating the White Sox, though, today 2-0. That's in the bottom of the 5th. Tony Graffinino has hit his 2nd for the White Sox. Or rather for the Royals. That one popped foul and out of play.
I'll tell you another guy who's found a nice home with Ozzie Guillen and the White Sox. He won his 4th game last night. He's 4-1. Had some struggles in New York. Went on to Arizona. Is Javier Vasquez. Solid pitcher. Good pitcher when he was with Montreal. And seems to have put things together and found a nice home with Chicago.
Swing and a miss. And a long battle by Borchard. Here's our game summary.
You know, the summaries in this series have all been in the same inning, so they're easy for our editing guys to put things together. There's Pujols with a single driving in 2 runs in that 4th inning. Tough inning for Scott Olson. Encarnacion then picked up a base hit, driving in a run. That hit came off Ricky Nolasco, and it was Scott Spezio just drilling one off the wall. A youngster trying to make the catch. He drives in a run with that double, and everything has happened in the 4th inning, all the scoring for the Cardinals.
Jacobs. You know, that kid makes that play, Tommy, it changes the whole complexion of the game.
Of course, the Cardinals scored 2 in the 2nd inning as well. You add that together, and it's 7 runs.
7-7-7.
Might be lucky in some parts of the country, but
Not in this series. Hancock working to Jacobs. Troy Gloss homered, and Toronto beat the Angels 3-1. B.J. Ryan getting his 7th save. Toronto trying to stay up with New York and Boston is 2 over now. 2.5 behind the Yankees and the Red Sox to start things. It's a tough division to keep up with when the Joneses are the Yankees and the Red Sox. Dodgers have won 2 in a row. They've got Milwaukee tonight. And Aaron Seeley has been called up and will start that game. He's been pitching in AAA Las Vegas. Ripped in the right field corner, and it's foul. Ben Sheets goes for Milwaukee. As much success as Milwaukee has had this year, Sheets has not enjoyed it. He is 1-3 with a .664 earned run average.
Yeah, Chris Capuano certainly helped their rotation. They're just getting some good hitting from their young hitters. Prince Fielder, we were talking about the rookie.
Bill Hall,
Ricky Weeks. And Carlos Lee continues to drive in runs, get big hits, and they're keeping Jeff Jenkins healthy. That's always a key for them.
The 3-2. Didn't miss by much, and Jacobs is on his way to first with a walk. 7 o'clock Tuesday night. Braves Marlins. Here on FSM Florida in HD. We start at 7. Actually, we started with Marlins on deck at 6:30. The game starts at 7. You always have the best seat in the house on the TV home of the Marlins, FSM Florida, and Sun Sports. Abercrombie is 0 for 2.
One of the tough parts for the Marlins lineup, when you get down to Mike Jacobs, who has struggled hitting below 200, Abercrombie below 200, Matt Trainer right around 200, then the pitcher spot, it's tough to generate something when you have some struggling hitters together in that portion of the lineup. Not a whole lot of things Joe can do about it.
Hancock missing inside. Brad Thompson in the bullpen. Cardinals well stocked with arms. It goes to what Tommy was talking about. Their starters in the first 2 games have delivered. I mean, Jeff Suppan, 8 2/3 innings. Mark Mulder delivered the game into the 7th last night.
And that helps that bullpen, and it goes along with what we were talking about with the Marlins starters. Last 6 games, the starters have combined for 24 2/3 innings.
Reggie checking his swing, got a piece of it. So the Braves hit town. Marlins miss Smoltz.
They'll get Tim Hudson in the Thursday getaway game, Sergio Mitre and Tim Hudson. Hudson not with great numbers, but coming off a good game.
Then it's on to Pittsburgh. And from Pittsburgh, 4-game stop in Atlanta. And then interleague play starts. The Citrus Series with the Devil Rays,
who have some exciting young players offensively, and they've actually gotten some well-pitched games, and once they get some good starting, that certainly helps their chances. Scott Kazmir, young left-hander, had a good game.
Abercrombie hits it pretty well. Taguchi has room, fights the sun and lost it. In the Bermuda Triangle, Taguchi couldn't come up with it. Jacobs gets to third. Abercrombie's at second.
But the last 2 times up for Abercrombie, he hit that ball that was misplayed by Luna in left field. This a long fly ball. He knows he got under it, but Taguchi battling the sun, and it is a battle out there. He has the glasses down. He has his body at the correct angle, and that shows you how difficult that play is to make. And because of that, and I agree with this, that's a base hit. That's a double. He has the glasses. He had his body at an angle, which is what you're supposed to do. He had his glove up to try to shield from the sun, and he still had trouble catching it.
He's one of the better outfielders defensively. You'll see, won 5 gold gloves over in Japan. Pitching change. Our Marooney called to the bull. 7-1 ball game. St. Louis on top of Florida. Reggie Abercrombie's sun-aided double has him at second base. Wes Helms will pinch hit for Matt Trainer, and Brad Thompson is on the mound.
Of course, the infield back, Miguel Olivo is in the on-deck circle. Overall, those are the numbers for Wes Helms, and we've talked about his pinch hitting this year, 5 for 14 coming off the bench.
Marlins down by 6. That one fouled back. Well, a rarity in baseball today. Luis Castillo homered against Mike Maroc. Minnesota leads Detroit 4-0 in the 6th.
So hitting right-handed,
Yep.
that aggressive swing of Luis Castillo.
I had to, as soon as I saw he hit a homer, I wanted to see who he hit it off of, just to make sure it wasn't left-handed. Thompson misses inside. That double by Abercrombie, only the 4th hit of the ball game for Joe Girardi's ball club. And Thompson misses down low. Miguel Olivo waits on deck. Brad Thompson grew up in Las Vegas, Cimarron High School. Two-two. That's a pretty good pitch. And Wes Helms now at the count 3-2.
And remember, it started 0-2. So Wes having a nice battle. Thompson had tried to hammer him inside after he got ahead, throwing that sinker. Now he has to really get a little bit more of the plate.
Las Vegas produced one of the greatest pitchers in baseball history. Greg Maddux.
Greg Maddux.
Valley High School. Thompson went on to play at Dixie Junior College, which is in St. George, Utah.
And Greg's brother Mike would say, what about me? I had a good career. Pitched for over 10 years in the big leagues. Now the pitching coach with the Brewers.
All right, Las Vegas has produced 2 of the greatest pitchers in baseball. Helms is aboard, and all of a sudden, a lot like last night, a 7-0 lead in which the Marlins almost came all the way back. They were short by just a run. This game is starting to look a little bit like last night.
And I said that about Mike Maddux because he has a great sense of humor and would certainly go along with that and have fun with it.
And you never know when he is scouting the Marlins hitters for an upcoming series when the Brewers meet the Marlins. He might be looking at a Wes Helms at bat, and maybe you throw that in there, you might hear it.
Yeah, yeah. So we're just giving you a little love, Mike. That's all.
Oliva would like just a little hit here. One out, they're loaded. That one pounded foul. Jacobs at third base, he walked. Abercrombie's deep fly ball was lost in the sun for a double. Thompson came in and walked Helms. Thompson just 24 years of age. Oh, 2 gets him. Two down. Here comes Hanley.
Well, remember when Thompson got ahead to Wes Helms, he couldn't put him away. And eventually walked him. He got ahead 0-2 to Olivo, put him away with a good slider.
Hanley doubled in the sixth. And he takes ball 1. 6 hits in the series for Ramirez. Suddenly it's 2-0. Thompson quickly came up through the Cardinals system since they drafted him in the 16th round out of Dixie State College. His second professional season, he split time between AA Tennessee and AAA Memphis. Last year, Memphis, and 40 appearances in the Cardinal bullpen. Still a young arm at 24.
You mentioned Hanley with 36 hits now. He's almost ready to creep into the top 10 in the league in hits.
Boy, Thompson's not getting any favors from Darryl Cousins right now. And the Marlins will take this good fortune.
Watch this movement on that fastball. Pretty good pitch. And he didn't get the call, and now he's getting it from the Cardinal dugout.
Up the middle, Eckstein gets the out, and the Marlins leave them loaded in the 7th. To the 8th we go, Cardinals in control. Friendly reminder, Mother's Day is a week away. 7-1, Cardinals on top of the Marlins in the top of the 8th inning. It has been a Cardinal series so far. Todd Wellemeyer comes in, takes over for Randy Messenger. Another outstanding inning by Mess. Randy setting down all 3 men he faced. Ricky Nolasco pitched pretty well. So here's Wellemeyer.
Randy Messenger in one of those grooves that you just can't wait to get back out there and throw again. And that's what Joe Girardi wants to see in a lot of other guys in his bullpen and from his starters. He needs to get some guys on a roll and get a little consistency. And in what? In throwing strikes. There's Miguel Olivo. He stays in the game to catch.
1-0 pitch, a strike. Miles a couple of walks. Wellemeyer misses high with the fastball. That one is popped foul and out of play. Cardinals head home. The Rockies will be there. Arizona and the Mets coming into St. Louis to their new ballpark.
Yeah, Cardinals in that mode now. They're just trying to get comfortable and get used to the new surroundings. It's not that they have to go any further. It's almost part of it actually was connected to the old stadium, so right next door.
You know, I think we missed it the other night. We talked about Mulder's home run. Wasn't that the first home run in that ballpark?
In that ballpark, yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Miles just being flat out pesky here against Wellemeyer's made some pretty good pitches. He keeps fouling them off.
You know, for a second I thought I was having a nightmare of going to the gas station and pumping gas.
No, gas is almost $3.50 a gallon.
Oh, it's just that
That's
noise.
not a nightmare. Good changeup.
Swinging a miss by Miles, so Wellemeyer gets a strikeout. Aquavelva cool under pressure. Scott Spezio, and the youngster lost the glove. Spezio got the double. It would not have left the park. And he drove in a run with that double. Aquavelva keeps your face toned and fit. Also available in a soothing ice bomb.
You have nightmares every time I go to the gas station.
Thompson getting the at-bat.
Noise kind of has that hypnotic effect, too.
Yeah. They keep waiting for a little bell, and that'll be $50, please. That should be the, we should just make that the Aflac trivia question.
What's that? How much gas is a gallon?
No. What in the heck is that noise? Wellemeyer with the fastball. Here's the 1-2 pitch. The swing and a miss. Sometimes you'll hear the noise of guys on deck with the batting weights. But this one is relentless, Tommy. This is no bad. All right, we're being told that noise.
See, there's our microphone that's picking it up.
You see the sign? You can see the sign is stuck.
You know how they'll rotate periodically throughout the game? Well, that's not rotating. It's stuck. It's the motor of that sign.
So the sign is stuck. Eckstein.
Wow, I wonder what that will do to the advertisers. I mean, Ace getting a lot of publicity.
Yeah. Maybe the Ace guy had the tickets behind the plate, and he sabotaged the sign.
You know, the advertisers of the other companies now, they're saying, where are we?
We're supposed to be here in the 8th. We had the 8th inning, darn it. Eckstein with a fly ball to left field. And there is Willingham. Well, the bullpens look pretty good for the Marlins. Nolasco, Messenger, and Todd Wellemeyer. Stadium. Most of the big hits, most of the big plays made by the St. Louis Cardinals. As the Marlins trail in this game 7-1. Dan Uggla, Miguel Cabrera, Josh Willingham.
And yes, we see the sign has turned.
Yeah, and listen, you can't hear the noise. They fixed it.
Well, the Lumber Liquidators gave a quick call.
To the ace guys?
He got the repairman down there right away.
You would think the Ace hardware guys would have the ability to fix it if they really wanted to. 2-1 the count.
The clicking noise is gone.
Ugla's got a couple hits. Thompson working into his second inning. And Ugla, a one-hopper. Eckstein, strong throw. And a good throw by Eckstein. Our Chevy in-game box score. Juan Encarnacion, Scott Spezia. Look at the middle of the order. So Taguchi, Albert Pujols. It's a 5-run fourth inning for the Cardinals. On the other end, not much going for the Marlins. Ugla's 2 hits, probably the best effort of the day.
They get all that scoring in one inning. You see the box score kind of bunched together, that group in the middle, producing.
Cabrera's 0 for 3. You see that throw by Eckstein? We were talking about his arm the other night, and it seemed to me that his arm looked a lot stronger from when we had seen him last, or even in his days as an Angel. So we asked him before the game about that, and he said when he joined the Cardinals, Barry Weinberg, their trainer, called him and said, hey, we've got a weight program for our pitchers. It's really helped their arms. You interested in something like that? And he said, heck yes. So he is on the pitchers program.
He said, heck yes, more work to get better? Sure, I'm in.
And it's the system that the Cardinals use to essentially strengthen the shoulder and the throwing arm. And Eckstein said it has made a tremendous improvement in his throwing arm. He said it used to be, back in his Anaheim days, he used to just have to wind up and give it everything he had just to get it over there. Now, he said it's just a gentle flick.
Well, and at Florida, he played mostly second base, and Mark Ellis of the Oakland A's, who's a second baseman now, played shortstop.
Mm-hmm. So when you see the Cardinal pitchers in the weight room, Eckstein's in there as well. The 2-2. Can't hit a ball much harder than that. Cabrera rips it into left. And he's aboard, his first hit of the ball game. Here comes Willingham. Once again to you watching on AFN, the American Forces Network. We're broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces, serving in 175 countries aboard ships at sea. They're watching around the world in Iraq, Germany, and Italy, and Southwest Asia, and South Korea, and Japan. And I'll bet the folks out at sea were going, what was that clicking noise, Tommy?
Yeah, well, those are the folks we can send that Cookie Rojas CD on singing God Bless America.
Cookie sings God Bless America.
Yeah. And that's the title of the CD, Cookie Sings.
Yep. And it should be coming out, I think, early to mid-June. There'll be some other hits in there. Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Of course. Saw Harry Callis, of course, the other day with the Phillies in town. And, of course, Harry Callis remembers in those days with Cookie Rojas and his double play partner, who's an advanced scout with the Atlanta Braves now, Bobby Wine. And
they were dining together.
The first thing Harry said was, yes, I remember the days of Wine and Rojas.
Cookie and Bobby were having dinner together. Willingham, 0-2. Swing and a miss. And brings Borchard up. Tomorrow night, FSM Florida will present the Red Sox and the Yankees. Not the game, but the rivalry. An all-access look at the emotionally charged battle between two of baseball's most storied teams. This 21st century edition stacks up. You got DiMaggio and Williams. Reggie against Yastrzemski. Jeter against Nomar. 10:30 FSN Florida. Tony La Russa is out. And after the strikeout of Willingham, Brad Thompson is out as well. And while we take this time out, here's our Maroney. Call to the ball. Bottom 8, 7-1 Cardinals. Tony La Russa going to his bullpen and summoning Randy Flores, a left-hander, against the switch-hitting Joe Borchard, who's 0 for 2 and takes a strike.
You know, managers certainly have their reasons of making moves, and this is how the game is so changed. I could really understand if Tony La Russa brought in Flores to face a left-hander.
Borchard pops it out into shallow right, and squeezing it is Miles.
We'll discuss next inning.
Talk amongst yourselves. We'll be back. Eight hits to go with their 7 runs for the Cardinals. 5 hits and just 1 run for the Marlins. Top of the 9th has arrived, and Joe Borowski comes out of the pen. About the only glimmer of sunlight for the Marlins in this ball game has been the bullpen. Velasco, Messenger, Wellmeyer, and now Borowski.
4 1/3 shutout innings from that trio. Now Joe Borowski tries to add to that. Joe Girardi getting him some work here with the day off tomorrow.
Hector Luna into right field. That's a Gila out there, and Chris tries to make the diving catch, and it glances off his glove.
And amazing, you come into the game in a double switch, and the first ball hit you is a difficult play. Little bloop going away from you. Chris Aguila couldn't quite get there. Going to get back to the Randy Flores, the left-hander coming in. I understand Tony probably wants to get him in, Flores, because he hadn't pitched in a while, to get him some work and get him to match up against a left-handed hitter. Well, I could understand that if there were a left-hander up there, but Borchard, a switch hitter, just switched over to the other side. So at least looks like Flores is going to work the 9th inning. And La Russa will get him some work, similar to what Joe Girardi's doing here for Joe Borowski.
Holds the 2-run single back in the 4th, and he nearly took Miguel Cabrera's glove off with a line drive out in the 6th. Well, that one missed, and Borowski's not real happy that he didn't get that call.
You know, there was a call. It was actually the first time up for Pujols when he was called out on strikes. He didn't agree on it. He made a few comments to Darrell Cousins, the home plate umpire. Ever since then, he's had a number of close pitches were called balls.
Two and one. Where the Braves are just pounding the Mets right now, 13-1 in the bottom of the 8th inning. Albert Pujols pops it up. Ugla fighting the sun. Makes a catch. We check in with Craig Minervini.
Rich, we have our first celebrity endorser of Marlins on deck for us for Tuesday night. Gary Valentine, cousin Danny from the King of Queens, comedian working in town at the Improv. How are you, Gary?
Doing great, Craig. Thank you.
You're not going to miss my show. Would you tell the fans what to look for Tuesday
Of course. This is you got to check out Marlins on Deck Tuesday at 6:30. Craig's going to do 9 questions with Jeremy Hermida.
Right.
He's going to look at the Braves, and also Craig's going to talk with manager Joe Girardi. Good stuff.
Don't miss it. You are a big baseball fan, too. What are you doing in town here?
Well, I'm just hanging out. I'm actually working down at the Miami Improv in Coconut Grove, but I came in here actually to audition for the Mermaids, but I got in the park and I realized I left my half shirt and my spray tan in the car.
So it didn't work out, huh?
No, I didn't get the gig.
Maybe next year.
Hey, you know what? There is always next year.
Tickets available tonight, too, right?
Tickets are available tonight for my show, 8:30.
Good to see you, and we'll see you at the King of Queens. When is the finale? The end of May?
The end of May, yeah. I'm not sure the exact date, but 20-something.
Yeah, usually at the end of the month. All right, great seeing you, of course, and good luck on the show tonight. And good luck next year.
Thanks, Greg.
Guys, Gary Valentine, back to you.
What's he doing the rest of the year?
I thought he was auditioning for Marlins on Deck.
We could make it a 4-man team. The spray tan line was good.
He said he didn't get the gig. I think he got the gut. He didn't get the gig.
Encarnacion. The 1-2. That's trouble if it's fair. It's foul, so Encarnacion will have to come back to home plate. He's got 2 hits in this ball game, 3 hits in the series. Well, he's been here twice. You think Juan Encarnacion will ever be a Marlin again?
Some guys have been with teams 3 times. I was going to say Brad Ausmus has been. Actually, Brad Ausmus has been with 2 teams twice.
Mm-hmm. We just saw somebody who was on his 3rd go-round. 1-2 pitch is fouled back.
And, of course, Reggie Sanders has just been with everybody.
Yes.
3 times, that would be pretty good. I guarantee somebody has. I'm sure we've run into somebody who's been with the same team on 3 different occasions.
Here's the 1-2. And it's fouled back.
By the way, I saw where the Rockies got Todd Helton back in the lineup. Had a couple of hits last night.
Good to see. That illness was a scary one. Line shot. Jacobs spears it. And so there's 2 down.
Joe Borowski trying to pitch around that leadoff blue double. So far, so good. Now he just needs to retire Scott Spezio. Spezio's had a pretty good day, giving Scott Rowland. Anytime, I tell you what, when you're a manager and you give one of your star players a day off and the guy who comes in has a good day, it's a win-win situation.
Spezio takes a changeup.
That was a pitch that Borowski got to Pujols on.
0-1. Spezio is going to be a valuable member of this Cardinal team because he can play all over the place. He's at 3rd base. He's a very good first baseman defensively. In fact, that's a role that he filled in Anaheim.
Well, they hope they don't have to use him a lot there.
Right.
They want to get 150, 155 games out of Albert Pujols, which they usually do. It's another thing about Pujols. He's in there all the time. 161 games for Pujols last year.
Three and 1. Taguchi on deck. Borowski is clearly bothered by something right now because he's wandered around the mound. He's muttering to himself. Early in the inning, he was not happy with Darrell Cousins, the home plate umpire. And now it looks like he's just not happy with himself.
Mark the Bird Fitridge did that, and he wasn't bothered by anything. Wandered around the mound, talked to himself, talked to the ball.
Spezio's aboard. And Borowski misses.
Well, we've talked about this franchise. The only franchise that's won more games since the beginning of 2000, the New York Yankees, and only by about five wins.
Up as well. Hector Luna's leadoff double, a 2-out walk to Spezio. Taguchi pulls it foul. Joe Borowski here in the ninth. Into right field, so Taguchi pokes a base hit. Luna around third, he'll score. Spezio into third. And the Cardinals add on, it's 8-1.
Well, the two guys that Tony La Russa gave off, Edmonds and Rowland, were replaced by Spezio and Taguchi, each coming up with 2 hits in this game today. That was Taguchi's second. And his second RBI.
And another line drive, this one into center field. Yadier Molina will drive home the 9th run. And the Cardinals putting it out of reach now, 9-1.
First hit of the day for Molina, who has struggled offensively, came into the game hitting 165. Where's that?
Yeah, and that's not going to help Borowski's feelings at all. It's been an angry 9th inning for him. Miles swings at that pitch in the air. Aguila over and makes the catch. And the inning ends. Cardinals add on. An unhappy Joe Borowski. It's 9-1. A Pujols fan. And there have been Cardinal fans here throughout this series. And they've been the happiest ones in the ballpark so far. Stark contrast to the Marlin faithful. The Cardinals winners on Friday night, 7-2. A 7-6 win last night. And here tonight, or here today, quickly turning towards night, it's a 9-1 ball game. There's Flores, Jacobs, Abercrombie scheduled against the Cardinal left-hander.
Well, one of those left-handed specialist guys for La Russa, Randy Flores. In his 10 games, nice job. ERA in the 2s. No deep conversations today as Joe had with Dontrell Willis last night.
No, it's all pretty simple. And Flores opens with a strike to Mike Jacobs. Jacobs with a couple walks. And they're not base hits, but oftentimes the hitting coach will tell you if a guy starts taking some walks, that can lead to, or at least show a sign of him getting back into a groove.
16 walks on the year.
Marlins need Jacobs and a few others to get back into a groove, with the Braves coming to town on Tuesday night, because this home losing streak is about to hit 10. Down goes Jacobs. Here comes Abercrombie. Flores out of USC. He gets Abercrombie here. Reggie hit a deep fly ball on the warning track in left center that was lost in the sun by So Taguchi. Went for a double. He hit a ball to the warning track in the 5th inning and left that ticked off the glove of Hector Luna. That went as an E7.
That was an interesting fly ball because remember he shattered his bat on that fly ball to left field. It still traveled to the warning track. Well, the Marlins will see 3 right-handers in that series against the Braves: John Thompson, Kyle Davies, and Tim Hudson. And I guarantee they'll see some lefties in Pittsburgh.
Well, this lefty they're seeing has been pretty darn effective. He's faced 3 hitters. Randy Flores has struck 2 of them out. He popped Orchard up back in the 8th inning. Chris Aguila now. Remember, the Cardinals had lost 4 in a row coming into this ball game, all on the road. Breaking ball in the dirt. Washington beat Pittsburgh 5-4. Chad Cordero picked up his 3rd save. Zach Duke got the loss. He's 2-3. Atlanta is leading the Mets 13-2 in the 9th. Rockies in Houston 1-1 in the 5th. Boston jumping all over Baltimore in the 6th, 10-3. Veritek is homered. Cubs and Padres are underway. Brewers, Dodgers on the way. I heard something I never thought I'd hear last night watching that Dodger telecast. Vin Scully using a Boston accent to announce Nomar Garciaparra. Base hit center field. Aguila singling to center.
Yeah, I think I heard the same thing in Vin Scully in the only way he can, saying Nomar. Well, it worked. Nomar had 3 hits and has really been a good part of the Dodger offense the last few games. Couldn't believe when I saw Jeff Kent really off to a bad start, hitting below 200.
Now Olivo. Miguel came into the ball game in the 7th inning and struck out. Olivo pulls it foul. Well, who knows in the Central? Will the Cardinals repeat? They've won 2 in a row. They've won 5 of the last 6 Central Division crowns. Reds are off to such a good start. The Astros, you know, the one thing's the Astros, they're 19-11. They've lost a couple in a row, but they haven't started as horribly as they have the last 2 years. Olivo got jammed, and this ball game is in the books. And once again, the St. Louis Baseball Cardinals come in and beat the Marlins here at Dolphin Stadium. They do it with pitching. Their bullpen picking up Sidney Ponson, who left after 3 with tenderness in the elbow. They did it with hitting. 2 more RBIs for Albert Pujols. And big hits throughout the lineup for this Cardinal ball club. St. Louis improves to 20-12. The Marlins, they fall to 8-21, and the Marlins have dropped 10 in a row at home. Braves and Marlins in high def. The post-game show will pick this one over when we get back to Dolphin Stadium.